we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Sohail. I don't know if it's actually exciting or not to be.
Super.
No, I'm just kidding. Like,
It's
it
so
is.
exciting.
It's exciting for me. Where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. And right now we're focused on Deep Space Nine. We've made it to episode 7, Q less. We have the return of Q and Vash. Vash tomorrow, Vash yesterday, but never ever Vash today.
I like the sequel Q more better, honestly.
Q more. That would have been really great if he did appear on Deep Space Nine again. If it was called Q more, it would have been really
No,
good.
it should be Q less than or equals to.
Yeah.
But just the mathematical skills. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be back. Another week of discussing Deep Space Nine. It's nice to see you guys here. Welcome back, Aaron. Welcome back, Joel. Welcome back, Marcel. And Father's on his way from a haircut. So as soon as he's here,
His weekly
get him
haircut?
on here as well. Yep.
That's Starbase 80. Yep.
Something new happened. A listener who doesn't want me to say their screen name sent me an episode summary. So I haven't read it.
Oh.
I'm going to read it and see if...
Well, thank you, mystery listener.
Yeah, thank you for doing our work for us.
They're part of our text
Anonymous
message audience. Yeah, so I'm going to read this summary. Let's see how it goes. Okay. In Q less, an archaeologist named Vash arrives at Deep Space Nine from the Gamma Quadrant, bringing chaos and mystery with her. That's true. The episode kicks off with Dr. Bashir trying to impress a Bajoran woman, but he's quickly called away to help with an emergency. The runabout USS Ganges docks with no power and low oxygen, carrying Vash, who has been missing in the Gamma Quadrant for 2 years. I think it was actually O'Brien that got called off to that emergency. Was Bashir there too?
Yeah.
No, they
Bashir
were
was
both.
just there, but
Oh, my
yeah.
bad. See, I'm
They
not-
both did.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. As the crew investigates, they discover the station itself is losing power. Vash's unexpected return raises questions, especially when it's revealed she didn't use the wormhole to get to the Gamma Quadrant. Then the notorious troublemaker Q appears, claiming to be a friend of Vash. His arrival brings even more chaos, including power outages and strange occurrences. Quark, always looking for profit, arranges an auction for Vash's Gamma Quadrant artifacts. Meanwhile, Q tries to rekindle his relationship with Vash and meddles with the crew, including putting Bashir to sleep when he tries to ask Vash out. The tension escalates when Commander Sisko confronts Q, leading to a memorable scene where Sisko punches Q, declaring, "I am not Picard." As the power drains continue, the crew realizes the station is being pulled toward the wormhole. They trace the source of the problem to a crystalline artifact Vash brought with her. In a dramatic resolution, the artifact is revealed to be a life form feeding on the station's power. Sisko and the crew manage to beam it into space, saving the station just in time. With the crisis averted, Vash decides to leave, and Q, after a series of philosophical exchanges with Sisko, disappears, leaving the crew to reflect on the unpredictable nature of their lives on Deep Space Nine. There we go. Oh, and there's a commentary. QLS blends humor, action, and unique dynamics of DS9 crew, offering a fun crossover with familiar faces from the next generation. Hey, that's a good... You can write all my stuff.
Very good.
That's pretty good. I haven't put ChatGPT to the test. I should see how it does.
Oh no.
It would probably be horrible.
That would be interesting.
It would be if it daydreams.
In
or
this
hallucinates.
episode, Luke confronts his father.
Yeah. I've had things where I've asked, describe Lieutenant Eric's or something like that. It's like, there is no character named Lieutenant Eric's in Star Trek. Yeah, there is. Oh, well, perhaps I'm not up to date. I'm like, it was from 1973. Okay, sure.
My records only go back to 2023.
And sometimes when it gives me TAS stuff, it's like I recognize the writing as our book. So it's like they're clearly just regurgitating in a slightly different way what we had written, which is kind of that really creepy, you are using our artwork and our text and everything. Great.
We got a whole bunch of folks in the audience. Nice to see you, Joseph, who hasn't been around in a bit. So pretty cool to see you in the chat. Jill says, "Well, where'd it go?" Oh, here we go. The dialogue in this one was a lot better than I remembered. Yeah, the whole episode was a lot better than I remembered. Personally, I thought it was a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's because the last few times I watched it drunk because of Drunk Space Nine, but that could have had something to do with it. I'm not sure.
I think also because it's probably the weakest of the Q episodes, so I think your brain might say, okay, it's not a good Q episode, so it's just not a good episode, but that's not exactly true.
I had time to read the Memory Alpha article, and apparently Q was not supposed to be in it, but this was Robert Hewitt Wolf's first writing credit on Deep Space Nine. In fact, this episode got him hired onto to staff, which is cool. He'd only written for 2 episodes, I think, for TNG up until now. Fistful of Data as being the one I can remember. But he actually lobbied to get Q in it because they were originally going to do it without Q, but it wasn't working. So it made sense.
Well,
I could see that. Like, just being Bosch would be kind of, I don't know.
And also, it's a good follow up because the last time we remember they went off together, so it's good. And here he is, Father, in the shuttlecraft. How's it going?
Freshly trimmed and ready
to. We can see you're freshly trimmed.
Hope your shuttlecraft doesn't lose power and you can't get out of the door.
Focus on the coordinates.
That's kind of scary though. You lose power and you can't open the shuttle doors.
Okay, is it just me? Is could they have not used the transporter to get them out of there? That it wasn't like
that's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that?
Why didn't anybody think of that? It's like
only O'Brien had used the transporter before. Then
Yeah, I mean, gee, it's not like he doesn't have any familiarity with that.
He missed transporter room 3 though, so without that one, the rest.
In the most current Dayton Ward book, he explains why he's always there every time we see him. See anybody beaming, okay. So if you get a chance, read that. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Okay.
We'll check it out. All right, let's go around and say what we thought of this episode. Let's start with you, Marcelo, then Joel, then Aaron, and then Fathery.
Yeah, this episode was just pleasantly fun. I don't every time I watch Deep Space Nine, I just think this is another really, really good, really fair, good Q episode. I liked how John Delancey had that air of being serious at some points, but obviously funny and whimsical, and oh shit, I like that image there, Aaron's image. I really like that. That's cool. But I thought this was the perfect blend of the Q that I like, funny but serious. So I thought this episode was a blast from start to finish.
Right on. What about you, Joel?
Yeah, I like this episode, and it's probably like you said, probably the weakest of all the Q episodes. I looked over the whole list, but it's still pretty good, and it's kind of a low stakes. I mean, the station could be destroyed, but it still seems kind of low stakes in one way. But that lets everyone there's just fun dialogue and there's character development for Q, and some fun things with other people and Bashir, and and of course the boxing match. But
our friend Joseph says, the Random Menace says, Vash should have been in more episodes. She could be like River Song on Doctor Who or Vala Moldar on Stargate. I don't know Vala, but yeah, there's a River Song. Vash certainly has that River Song kind of vibe.
Yeah, Vala fits a lot.
River Song has the Vash vibe for sure. For sure, it's very cool. What about you, Aaron? What did you think of this episode?
I too was like, oh wow, this is much better than I remember. It had some really good lines too. Just there's some really Q stuff that feels like, oh, I kind of saw that more in Picard at this season, or the season 2 of Picard. So it was kind of interesting. Like he, references technobabble, and just that was kind of fun. It felt very self-reflexive, which I don't normally attribute to until later in the Q appearances. But yeah, and just it may be a little bit too much back and forth between Vosh and the problem and Q, and it kind of did that a couple, maybe too many times. I think it could have streamlined some of that, and I don't think we needed to spend as much time with the random scummy people who are bidding on stuff.
Oh, what is the Rule the Obscure was one of the names. I can remember.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's like Obscure Rule.
Quark, you obsequious toad.
I wrote that one down.
Yeah, there was some fun stuff in there.
Q's
But
commentary in that, like where he was
Yeah.
talking about like how like obscene it was and stuff like that, which was
Yeah.
interesting.
No, it was. It was very, yeah. I honestly think he just takes the opposite view of whatever's happening. So
he's contrarian,
if it was
yeah.
something where everybody was like being very, charitable or something, he might take the opposite view and say, it's like, oh, well, you don't need to, you should say something for yourself, or I don't know.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Father, are you
I
able
liked
to
it.
give us your opening thoughts, or do you want to wait till y'all get back? Oh, I thought he crashed. When I just called it.
Oh my god.
I don't have much to say on this episode. It's not one that I particularly like. Like, I love Deep Space Nine. I think it's my favorite TV show of all time. It's my favorite Star Trek. I love Q. I love Bash, but I don't think this is a very good episode of Star Trek. There's elements of it I like, but it was still it's so very early Deep Space Nine, still trying to figure itself out. It still has a great voice, it still has great performances from great actors, it still has great set design. But yeah, it doesn't have a great story in this episode. But there are a lot of fun uses of John Delancey's Q. I like Bash being in the world of Deep Space Nine. I do think that it was good that they brought her back. We got a couple of appearances of her in TNG, and then the one here on DS9. I think DS9 might have been a good place to show more of her, and she was a character created by Ira Steven Behr. So I'm wondering if at one point if that was kind of the intent. But yeah, I think Deep Space Nine didn't know how they were going to do Q episodes on their show, and they were like, okay, well, let's try. And then they're like, you know what? Actually, I don't think we need Q on DS9. We're going to do different stuff. But it's one of those early season 1 experiments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not an episode that I think about like, oh, I'm gonna go watch Q less. Like it's like there's not really anything that kind of like stands out. But when I do watch it, I definitely won't be turning it off. Like when it comes on or whatever, like it's one of those kinds of episodes. In our chat, Ulysses the Pagan also welcome back. It's been a long time since we've seen you in the chat.
Yeah.
I forget, in this episode, does Q make any mention of the prophets? No, I don't believe so, but that would have been an interesting little
Yeah, that's in my notes.
Yeah,
I'm
very
surprised that
interesting.
they could have battled, it's like, oh, my omnipotent powers is better than theirs or something like that.
Right, or something like that. It would have been interesting.
It seems like they hadn't laid out. I mean, their prophets, of course, were in the opening
That's
episode,
true.
but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they'd laid out what they were going to do with them exactly.
Exactly.
There's
that's
a
true.
lot of stuff in this episode which is interesting because it looks like they're laying groundwork, but I checked into it and they're not, especially with Bashir. Like the whole stuff that comes up later in when you find out about his past.
Oh, right,
The
right.
medical exam stuff.
Yeah.
They invented it for that episode in season 5. But they call back to this episode with all the same stuff about, he wasn't
The ganglionic
valedictorian
nerve or whatever.
yeah, the pre-ganglionic fiber instead of a ganglionic nerve.
It gets them every time. I'm like, really? You have really boring women that you're going after,
She
apparently.
was so enthralled, though.
I know.
I love O'Brien's reaction in
In the background.
rolling his eyes,
Getting
like,
up.
"Are you serious?" And then when she's into it, he's just like, oh, "I can't believe she's in it." It was so good.
Hey, life was hard under the occupation. You got to get yourself a doctor.
Ulysses in the chat despairs. What makes me sad is that DS9 will never get a remaster. I hope that's not true. I really
It
hope.
will get a remaster.
I hope so. I hope it gets a
I
remaster.
like I promise you guys, once Paramount finds a new home, for goodness sake, the people that have control of Star Trek in general will treat Star Trek better than it has been treated where it is. I have a
I
feeling.
mean, I don't know. I think it's weird
Or
to me.
just
'cause-
disregarded. Either one.
Yeah,
Either one.
it's weird to me because to do it right, the way they did it in TNG, it is quite an expensive
Yeah.
process.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they
one wants to
made
pay
no money
for
off
it.
of that because nobody
Yeah.
bought
Yeah,
the
they lost money. They did it to TNG
Yeah.
and they lost money. That same process will never happen again because it loses money.
Right. You know,
The
but
only thing I can think of is if there's like some sort of AI. I know we all love AI, but for this purpose, it's fine. Of some sort of upscaling or something that they can do without having
Yeah,
to remaster
there's
everything.
there's a fan made there's a fan made 4K upscale of the entire show that people can like go torrent if you want it like that bad.
Oh.
It's I'm
where is
sorry
it?
to, like,
I want it.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry to like go on
now.
a rant about this, and I'm sorry like Ulysses, but like it deeply saddens me that it's impossible to have a conversation about Deep Space Nine online without people whining about the I hate watching it in standard definition. Why can't I have a remaster? Like it gets old. It gets old.
I think for us too, we saw it that way to begin with. So people who maybe are used to higher definition shows, that might be one of the reasons that we hear that more often.
Are they watching it on a 4K?
Yeah, watch
blown
more
up?
older media. Like it's
Yeah.
still easy to watch. Like it's not like it looks great. It still looks good. I don't know.
Yeah, compared to some other stuff from that same time period,
It looks really
a lot
good
better.
on like a smaller screen for sure. Like when I watch it on my iPad, I
iPad?
forget. Yeah, like I totally forget that it was
Watch it on a
over.
big screen, just in a smaller window. It's fine.
To stand very far away from the
Like-
screen.
No, I mean,
But also, my
you know,
TV does a good job of upscaling it. It has that whatever upscale feature, and it doesn't do a bad job of upscaling. But I disagree with Fathery. I think that that it's a worthy thing to complain about, because maybe someone will actually like listen and do what Aaron said, maybe not that most expensive version. And I also think that at this point both Deep Space Nine and Voyager are culturally important, because they're part of, like, I feel like Star Trek just is such a culturally important thing and an institution that like it's not about the money anymore. So it's not, I mean, I know they need to make
It
their
is
money
about the
back,
money.
but
It is about
Voyager
the
is
money.
made more like
Oh,
of a
press
return
platinum.
because it was so popular during the pandemic that was like the most popular Star Trek show that people watched, probably because they're stuck in the Delta Quadrant or something. And with Prodigy coming back, there's a lot of Voyager in Prodigy, so it's definitely not it's not like Enterprise in some ways, where it just seems like that's not
yeah.
as
No, I mean,
it's true.
relevant.
I didn't get to watch Deep Space Nine when it initially aired, like a bunch of you folks. I watched it on Netflix for the first time, and it looked fine to me. But then again, I grew up watching. I didn't grow up watching stuff in high definition. I grew up watching stuff in regular definition, whatever that is. So
standard definition, whatever.
yeah,
But it was high
yeah.
definition. All of it was high definition at one point. I feel
Yeah,
like,
right, that's right.
like depending on the technology, at some point,
Yeah.
it was or whatever. And
You
again,
kids with your color TV. Oh my gosh.
God, yeah. No, like I was talking to, I mean, not to put us off track real quick, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was complaining that something wasn't on Netflix, and I'm like, dude, really? When I was a kid, when I wanted to watch a movie, I had to go to these things called Blockbuster to go get one. I didn't have 100 channels at my command, you whiny little turd of a friend of mine.
I did, because I'm from the future. No, it's
Yeah, I did because I'm from
I always love
It
like
is
the
a-
commercials for the AT&T You Will, like the future. It's
Oh,
like
I
we
always
basically
reference
have that
that. That's so
now, because it's
funny.
like you see the it's like, oh, that's TiVo. It's just like that. It looked
Yeah.
almost like it too. It's just like science
we
fiction.
definitely have. They definitely did get rid of toll booth operators. That was in the You Will commercial. They did that. We have
so
TV
sad.
phone, our iPhones or whatever are they're essentially TV phones now. We can watch TV on them.
we
and
have
can talk to
the
viewers.
watch
Video
thing.
watch.
Yeah, we have the
you gotta
watch.
The only thing is we
Oh,
don't have like phone booths that we go tuck our kids into. Like that one was
Where
like
will
kind of off.
Superman change? In the,
Anyway.
But also,
Anyway, sorry.
also we have like data pads from Star Trek with iPads
Yes, we
and
do.
but
We
they don't
have
work.
pads.
You need to have lots of them, and we only have one.
Yeah,
we have one.
I have a stack of them. That's the weird thing. It's like I can replicate that Captain Picard picture.
Robert Hewitt Wolf on Memory Alpha, I read that he felt that the one thing that was missing in this episode for him, when in hindsight, was that Cisco was kind of like Q was more of the focus, And so like you didn't have a lot of interactions with Q and the crew like you did on TNG, where like there's a battle of wits per se. You just had like Cisco kind of punching Q out and saying I'm not Picard. And as great as that sequence is, it's probably my favorite part of the whole episode. It would have been nice because Cisco, we have seen in these first 7 episodes how like Cisco's very cunning and very clever, and all that stuff. So it would have been actually nice to see a little bit more interaction between Cisco and Q. What do you guys think? Like, I know you already said it's not your favorite Q episode, but as far as like opportunities in this episode with Q, what do you guys think? Were there any, or do you feel like it was good?
No, I mean, for me, the small interactions that Cisco did have with Q were fine. They were delightful. I didn't feel that there was anything missing. I didn't luster for more stuff with them two together. I think that Cisco told everything to Q that he needed to when he punched him in the face, because he's like, Picard never hit me, and he goes, "I'm not Picard." That's it.
You wishes Picard would hit him.
He does wish that.
That just boils down what Cisco thinks of Q, and I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Anyone
I
else
love when
have
the rink, the boxing ring appeared, and just his reaction. What? Just like this high pitched. They're like, what is happening? Why is and they just like hits him, and he's like, what did you expect to happen?
He took a few punches from Q first, though.
Yeah.
Q hit him in the face like 3 times.
Yeah.
I feel like
Or get the bet in. Remember? So.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I know. There could have been another opportunity to like slot him into maybe. I mean, he was in when he talked about the technobabble and the hey gang, get it all together or whatever. It's like if they had him following a little bit more, that could have been interesting. Like trying to drop hints, like, and he kind of was like, Vash is the one who's setting back. Like it's starting to like get the hint that she's got the thing that's causing the problem. So I think they could have played that out a little bit more.
Apparently, there's like a whole conference about Q that captains or commanders can attend.
That's
like,
cool.
I could see that.
It's true. Joel or Father, any thoughts on Q in this episode?
Yeah, I think this is more of it does do some character development for Q, especially like the lines at the end is like, I want to go travel the universe with you, Vash, because I can see wonder through you. And, and to him, normally everything is just, he's seen everything. It's just the way it is. So there is some interesting development of Q, even though we don't go to magic other places, like, a lot of the other, we'll go to Sherwood Forest or whatever. So.
I like that relationship of like, oh, that's why Q would fancy this mortal woman, is that like, yeah, she is kind of a limited being from his perspective, but through that kind of makes all these mundane things from his perspective seem a bit more grandiose and magical. So it's kind of like when you're watching a show or movie that you cherish, but like when you get to show it to someone who's seen it for the first time, and then you get to not only have like your own personal experience, but then a new experience that you get from experiencing their perspective. So I like that as a concept. And I think it's really hilarious, that moment when they're bickering and Quark walks in and then Q just snaps Quark out of the universe. This little Ferengi man who would go on to become one of the most beloved characters and one of the most like developed, fleshed out characters in all of the Star Trek franchise and a big fan favorite. But for like a split second, he's, for more than a split second, but for a few moments, he was just kind of erased from the universe, or who knows what the hell Q. So I like that it's not really explained either. It's kind of open to our imaginations, like what was that? But yeah, like he's just being like a little pest to Q, and he's just like, oh, like buzz off. I can just like delete you from existence, and then Bash be like,
kind of like Neelix.
Q, come on, bring him back, and like, oh, okay, and just casually like restore him back. I think that's really funny.
And funny because Vash is very like, she's connected with Ferengi. If we like, as she was in like the first episode when we saw her doing her archaeologist episode. It's kind of neat that they kind of tie that together a little bit. Like She seems to have a pretty good relationship with Ferengi.
So that was Max Grodinchik. Max Grodinchik's first Star Trek episode was Captain Holiday.
Oh, you're right. That's true. That's true. Jill says, does Q only chase Vash because she's Picard's old fling? I don't think that's the reason why, but maybe initially. I think it's initially was part of it.
I just watched that episode, Cupid, and Q is such like a nuisance to Picard in that episode. It's funny to me because it's like he's like, hey, Picard, I like you. I want to do you a solid. I want to do you a favor. You got my powers restored when when the rest of the continuum depowered me. You helped me out, so I'm going to do you a favor. And Picard is just like, Q, I want nothing to do with you. I just want to be left alone. But it's like Q just refuses. He's like, oh, you like this girl? Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a little romantic date together. This Robin Hood. It's like, actually, I'm just gonna run off with Vash. I like her more than you. Bye, John Luke. It's like, what a jerk, you know? He's like, hey, I want to do you a favor. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna leave with your girl.
It feels like something that would appear on Lower Decks between like Mariner and Q and somebody. You know, it's just got that kind of feel to it. I don't have time for your bullshit, Q. Whatever.
Q runs off with Jennifer, and
yeah,
he finally does say BS in Picard. Like, I think, isn't it like you're still like he's like, I don't have time for this BS, Q, or whatever. It's really funny.
Picard says, I don't have time for your bullshit, Q.
He does say it. I knew it.
Which is funny because Mariner actually said that before. That's kind of interesting. She was bleeped, but yeah,
it probably comes up a lot around Q.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Jill goes on to say this episode does explain why Q is so interested in humans. It's the same reason kids are so fun. Everything is new and wonderful to them. But also, you know, they've been traveling for 12 years together, apparently. Does that track correctly?
No. No.
Oh, it's only 2 years in the Gamma
That's
Quadrant.
what they say.
Why did I write down 12?
I don't know.
Because
Maybe
you like to
typed
put
a one
ones
on
in front of random numbers.
They run off together in season 4 of TNG.
That's what I thought. Yeah, okay, so my bad. Okay.
Season 1 of DS9 is concurrent with season 6 of
6, so yeah.
Yeah, so it is 2 years. No.
It is Q. They could have time traveled, but there's no evidence.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
There's no evidence.
That's true.
Yeah, that is. I thought that was kind of odd. It's like they could have just.
Bosch was
happened,
off
like, at this...
David Tennant for 5 years.
Right.
They don't talk about that.
I do like that with Q, you get like the understand, like, you know, we're very much restricted to our quadrants and our galaxy in Star Trek because of technological limitations. But I do love that Q's like when he's trying to entice her, he's like, not only is there so much more to explore in this galaxy, but there's still other galaxies, like, which is great that there's a reference to other galaxies. I thought that was wonderful, and that Q knows what's going on in other places as well.
Galactic barriers mean nothing to the continuum.
To the continuum, I would love to see Star Trek. I would love to. I was saying when Ahsoka came out, the one thing that was like made me kind of like I've never really felt like envy for the other Star franchise, but I was like, wow, they actually went to another galaxy in the other Star franchise. We've yet to do that in.
They've done that in Star Trek like 3 times.
No, but like actually spend time there. Like they've only gone like what was that episode where? Things like that.
In theory,
just, like,
though,
references.
another galaxy should just be like that's like going to, you know, yes, a planet could be radically different or whatever.
But the Andorians are a different color.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, another galaxy shouldn't be like suddenly everything's different and like the people stand upside down and like, you know, like it's just
that's true.
You know,
but it could be also.
It could be, but
I think that was kind of the idea with like the Delta and Gamma Quadrant, is they wanted the aliens to be even more alien than what we had gotten in the original series, the Next Generation. They wanted like Gamma Quadrant people to be really weird in early DS9, and then like an early Voyager, they really wanted like the Delta Quadrant to be a bit
and
more.
And then we got the
trash bag Klingons, I think somebody called them.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything. It's just it'd be cool if like Star Trek. I thought by the 32nd century we'd have technology to traverse those distances. But when you
if
think
nothing else, like
those...
some sort of like telescope or something, like you could visualize it, or a probe or something like that.
Something like that.
Every galaxy has its own progenitors, so they have one common species that everyone's based on.
That would be really funny.
I want to go to the Cation one.
The all cat galaxy.
Yep.
All the stuff.
Father is staring at our screen. That was weird.
I know what's going on there, Father.
I was looking at the comments.
Oh, cool.
Okay, good.
By the way, that cute thing of like experiencing something through the eyes of someone who's never seen it before, you're doing that with your partner Taylor.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
That's really
Very apropos. Yeah.
You're kind of like Q. He's totally frozen.
Not quite as arrogant.
Right now, we're
Oh, you're totally
right
frozen.
now we're just
I have no idea where Father's trying to transmit from another galaxy. He wanted to prove to us that he could go.
We're
to
losing
another
this pattern,
galaxy.
Captain.
He was
Alas,
pretty
these
stable
things
for most
happen.
of the ride.
Yeah.
Incidentally, a side thing from Star Trek Picard is that Uhura, when she was the captain of her starship, the Leon Grace, they actually did leave our galaxy. They went just outside of it, if I'm not mistaken, and found folks out there in the wilds.
High 10C, and then they went back.
Yeah, it's true.
I thought with if this is completely off topic of what it's still anyway. When Q and they were doing the final bid at the end where everybody was bidding on the orb thing, and Q's like, $1 million bars, and you see Quark go he's playing with his ear at the same time while he's all excited about it. I'm like, oh, I know what that's supposed to be. It was just hilarious.
That got him so sprung.
Yeah, this really shows Vash knows how to just make Ferengi do whatever she wants.
Yeah,
Grab their ears and then talk the negotiation down.
I wonder if for some reason, I don't know how that would work, but if he would have actually given him 1 million bars of platinum somehow.
I'm sure he could have produced it, but it would have been stolen from somewhere. Probably from the vault.
True.
From the
whatchamacallit,
what's it called? The
Grand Negus shows up and the Celestial Vault.
We're missing 1 million bars of gold pressed platinum, Quark, and we traced it to you.
That is a really good impression.
You never heard that? He's good at that.
No, I had not heard that before.
That was only a half-assed one too. I could
That's
do
good.
it. I have to get a little drunk though.
Yeah,
he seems like he might be a little drunk already.
All the time.
The Grand Negus.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, so I thought that was nice. It shows that early on, Armin was really building that character, and he seems like he was really. Even when nobody asked him to, it seemed like he was putting in all these little things that eventually make that character so rich, and the Ferengi themselves, actually, the whole species.
No, it's
the Leonard Nimoy of Ferengi. That doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. It's
oh yeah, kind of.
Where he was, he basically made Vulcans. No, I just say it's like Leonard Nimoy was the Vulcan, and anyway.
No, I agree. Quark is the definitive Ferengi, and from then on, it's everything changes for Ferengi, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Father, your green screen looks so smooth, so solid, it's a perfect green screen. You could really do.
Yeah.
He
stuff.
He put in a green screen on the green screen, so it's a fake green screen.
Yeah. Looks pretty solid. Yeah.
Professionals do that.
Speaking of green screens, is the only time you'll.
There's two of them.
Two of them.
Wait, which
transporter clone?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah. Which is the real Harry Kim? Well, the one who died is no longer.
Yeah.
That's right. We have a parallel universe, Harry Kim.
We do.
Well, kind of.
Hey, Father, you're back aboard your Starship Texas. There, I see you got off your shuttlecraft. That was cool to see. Have you guys made it? Have you and Taylor made it to Deep Space Nine yet? No, right? You're still on TNG.
We are gonna start DS9 tomorrow, probably.
Ooh.
This morning we did Realm of Fear. That's the Barclay episode where he's dealing with his transporter anxieties.
With the weird
yeah. So
the worm things,
we DS9 starts right after Chain of Command Part 2, which I believe is Season 6, Episode 11 of TNG. So after that, we'll hit play on Emissary.
Nice.
Cool.
Oh, I didn't realize it
Cool.
starts like during Chain of Command. That's crazy.
Because it was that short season, the first.
Yeah, they had shot it before but like they waited till after that. It's weird because like they had built a lot of like the Cardassian military uniforms and a lot of like props and stuff for DS9, and then they were using them in that episode that aired before any of DS9 aired.
Right.
That's just how the scheduling worked. But yeah, like DS9 premiered in January of 93. 93.
Yeah.
93. Oh
It's so wild to me. We're on episode 7, and I was thinking like we'd be like one episode away from a season finale in modern times because most
Yeah.
series have like 10 episodes, and it's so crazy
That would
like,
be weird to consider that. Yeah, that would like.
Yeah,
this
to
would be a
consider
really
that the
weird
next
season.
episode after,
Yeah.
like the next episode after this, which would be Dax, which actually would be a good,
Yeah.
like it's pretty epic.
Here's my
That's-
other unpopular opinion, but I don't think you can make good hour-long television in 20+ episode seasons in this day and age. I don't.
Anymore.
There's no
You think
TV
those
show
days
that
are
does it.
gone?
Yeah, those days are gone.
No.
Well, yeah. Could
Yeah,
you imagine?
for
Like,
now.
I know people want episodic, but like, if you had episodic, but you had the same number of like shows that you currently would, like a 10
Yeah,
episodes,
like you want
that would be
26
weird.
26 episodes a year of Strange New Worlds, Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and Prodigy.
No.
Like that's like what, like 200.
That would kill us.
Yeah. I guess it wouldn't be.
I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah, right.
That's 130. That's
That would
130
kill us.
episodes. Yeah,
I
you
think
couldn't
that, I
do
mean,
that.
Prodigy is probably the closest it's come, but the way it's broken up, it looks like it's sort of like two-parters. So it's just like it really is 10 episodes, 10 1-hour episodes, but split into like 20. Or if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's true. But I'd be
Um,
down with like if they just settled on like 13 episodes, like Doctor Who when it came back. I think on average was like 13 to 15
Well,
episodes.
it's no
I
longer
think that's, like,
13. There's 8.
I know they're also 8. You're right. The new series was 8 episodes, which we're not here to talk about Doctor Who, but it didn't feel like a full season to me.
I feel like you could do
Yeah.
10 and then like a finale that is a little bit longer. Kind of like
I-
they did
Yeah.
with that would have been cool.
There's only 8 episodes of the new season of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I
9.
love
I
that.
think it's
I
9.
love that. That makes it. That seems so like unintimidating for me to like actually take time to watch it. Like I might get caught up on Doctor Who later this year. That's if it was like a 16 episode season, that would much less likely be the case.
Wow.
Isn't it also like a long time
where'd you-
between those though? Like 8 episodes and then you have like a year and a half or something?
Previously, but next year it'll be every year now.
Oh,
They've
really?
set
Okay.
it up with Disney. So next year it'll be 8.
I'm
There'll
behind.
be
I
a
need to
Christmas
catch back
special, and there'll be maybe another special,
up. Okay.
just like
Yeah,
there was.
No, but this, I mean, just real quick, this season of Doctor Who, I'm like, oh my god, Doctor Who is awesome again. Thank you, thank you, Russell T
Where'd you
Davis.
leave off on Doctor
Woo!
Who?
I
Fodry?
still-
Like, what was
I saw
last
the
thing you saw?
specials. I saw the Disney Plus specials, and then I haven't seen the new. The last thing I saw
Oh,
was
so
like
you're not that
the
far
goblins. Yeah.
Right. So you're not.
I'm
I
two
thought you were, like,
doctors,
further
3
behind.
doctors behind now or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well,
What's his
I
name?
didn't watch all of the Jodie
Whittaker?
Whittaker. Yeah, I like some of that was terrible, and
I was
not
right
gonna-
before
the
Jodie
writing.
Whittaker, and
I'm
then
not
when
gonna
everybody
finish
said
that.
it wasn't good, I kind of like, well,
Yeah.
I don't really need to rush to catch up to watch
Jodie
it, I
is
guess.
great in all of it. But
Yeah, just like the writing that was dog shit.
Jodie Whittaker was great in the role of the Doctor, but the writing failed her dramatically.
Cake. What I've been
But-
doing is I'll go back and watch the. Cake says there's too much time between seasons with these 8 to 10 episode shows. There is a lot more time between seasons of shows today than there used to be. Like
Yeah,
Strange New
people-
Worlds is not going to be what's 2-year gap or almost
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
there's like
There's
Well,
gonna be
that's-
a lot of
that's
that
a-
because of the strikes. There's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's unusual.
yeah, that's
But I
all
think
out for
like
years.
even if it wasn't for the strikes, like Hot D would still have had that 2-year delay between their shows, between their seasons, and
But what?
House
Hot
of the
D is
Dragon.
House of the
I
Dragon.
thought you
Oh,
were talking about the Enterprise D.
Yeah, I heard Hot D. I'm like, what?
And,
Our
uh,
season 3.
the
What
D
bring the
is
hot
hot.
D back?
the Mushroom Zombies on HBO, the Mushroom Zombie show.
Last of Us.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Last
yeah.
of Y'all was always gonna have Last of Y'all was always gonna have like a 2-year gap. So I think I think that is just part of like the like spending more money on these seasons and having like longer, even if it's not necessarily like longer seasons like per episode, but like longer production times to shoot
It's
every.
on a film development schedule, not a old school TV.
Yeah, a lot of seasons like they used to shoot in like 6 months, or now they're taking like 8 to 9 months to shoot like the. I think that was like because of COVID, they had to. It just made everything take like way longer. So I think like in the post-COVID world, they're kind of like, oh, it was kind of better when we had 9 months to finish this instead of 6 months. So I think like a lot of like the pre-production and post-production time, like just like there's more time being spent on stuff. There's less like surge spending like these streaming like Paramount Plus was just going crazy. Like, okay, we don't have to worry like making a profit. This is like our spending time. We're investing. We're gonna like greenlight all these shows nonstop. Greenlight Discovery, Greenlight Picard, Greenlight product, like everything. You know, it's just like crazy.
Let's do everything.
And then now like they're I guess being like a little bit more frugal with just 2 live action shows with Strange New Worlds and the Academy. So they're taking their time, and I don't know, hope maybe that'll show. Maybe Strange New Worlds, maybe we'll see season 3 and be like, oh look, like everything is so much better now that they were able to like take that extra year to make it.
I think it's having the shorter seasons now also isn't as much of a detriment as it might have been at the time when DS9 was on, because there's just a lot more stuff to watch. Like having the ability to, go through several series because they're only 8 to 10 episodes. Could you imagine like how many, if there were as many shows now, but they were 26 episodes, it's like I'd still be like 5 years behind on television.
Yeah,
I think it's
legit.
Just ignore all of it, but Trek, you'll be fine.
Yeah, right.
I think it's hilarious that Hot D summons so many people. Our audience is very horny.
We learned a lot today, didn't we? Hot D, and then they all come.
They all
Hot damn.
What did I just
So
say? I didn't mean to say that.
Bringing it back to this episode.
Thank you.
Yes.
The alien at the end, did it feel a little cheap to you? Because it's just sort of like
very Encounter at Farpoint.
Yeah, it didn't do anything. It just sort of like it's like
a space-based glowing
flat
ocean animal, just like
and then but it didn't. It just sort of did the tail move a little bit? Maybe, I don't know, but it felt very inanimate.
Visual. It's a very weird visual.
It's a glowing. Like a space manta ray, a space ray of some kind.
And there was no real reaction at the end, though. They were just sort of like, "Oh, okay, that was that."
There was a little bit of a I wish there was but at the same time, I kind of like that they didn't go full Encounter at Farpoint. Like everyone's like, "Oh,
well, right,
life form all along,"
It's a little lower decks-ish in that sense.
What's funny is if you listen to the Mission Logs podcast episode on QLess, because Ken said that when he fell asleep watching this episode, and he woke up and saw like the creature in space transform into the manta ray or whatever, and then fly on, and then he thought to himself, "Whoa, I must have missed a lot in this episode." While he was only asleep for like 30 seconds. It hadn't like really. It's just like so confusing to like wake up and see that.
He missed his hot date. Didn't get to tell Vosh all about, Starfleet medical finals.
Yeah, I'm sure she would have been thrilled by that one. Yeah. I mean, that was very like early. I mean, reinforcing the like Julian is inappropriate and kind of scummy. It's like that's
Dr. Franklin.
Too bad you're not my. Yeah, it was just like ugh.
He is very
the whole like I wish you were sick or whatever. It's like
I went into medicine to hit on the patients.
Basically.
It's cringy. It's like Munchausen's by proxy.
They just stay here and they come to my office, and then
What about also just Q? I thought was very creepy. I mean, he tends to be cringy and creepy, but it was like this whole thing of like he's had her captive for like 2 years, and he's like not willing to let her go, and he's like obsessed with her, and she has to be like.
What did I wrote down in my notes? When you start giving her the progressive diseases that she would have had.
Oh God, that was
Q
awful.
Tries to seduce Bosch with disease, which is just terrible.
I'm not sure it's seduce. It's more like intimidate.
Intimidate.
Oh, it's kind of both.
Right. Coercion. Right, that's what you call that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of like how would you? Yeah. Never mind. I'm trying to combine those two words. It didn't work.
Christ,
Seducimation. Like,
I think the reason they didn't like have it like much of a reaction to the alien life form because they were just like, how much weirder can this shit get? Like it's like the weird.
I mean, it's a big floating alien ocean creature, but it's no Starfleet medical exam. So I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
or maybe they all thought that was a pre-ganglionic fiber in the air. I don't know.
But they got so lucky with that. They got so lucky with the Bashir stuff.
Yeah.
That worked out.
It fits
Yeah,
so
they did.
well into what they do later in
Yeah.
season 5. It's crazy how well they use that.
Yeah, and I think that's
Guys.
a big part of why they did it, because they're like, look, the stars are aligned. Like, this would actually work if we pull the trigger on it. We have to do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I gotta run, but it's been a cool to hang out with you guys.
Goodbye,
Thanks,
Marcelo.
Marcelo. We're just about to
Bye.
wrap up, anyways. But real quick before you go, what's your final thoughts and ratings on this episode? If you had to give
Yeah,
it one.
no, look. This episode was a whole lot of fun. I didn't think it was too serious. I really like seeing John Lancey back as Q. Like I said in the open, I like the kind of seriousness, but kind of the cheeky funness to his character this time around. So yeah, if I had to give this episode a rating, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It was really, really fun.
Nice. Thanks for coming on, Marcelo. Have a great rest of your weekend.
All right, bye
Everyone
guys.
go check out Marcelo at Creek Fanatic 88 on X
Thanks.
or Twitter.
Bye, guys.
I still call it Twitter.
Yeah, whatever.
See ya.
X, whatever. See you.
In the audience, Combo Trev says 90s male writers plus no actual physicians as consultants equals creepy CMOs. That's probably true. There's
Yeah,
probably some
Franklin
truth
and
in that.
Bashir hitting on everything that comes in. It's just, if you go to the space station, yeah, creepy medical. But there is another
I
thing.
thought one of the things that I noticed was like the station seemed to move so smoothly across space towards the like you would never know that it was like
no
being
one noticed.
forced.
People,
Like-
yeah,
like,
there was also a guy just walking with a briefcase. Did you notice that? Like there was, I don't know if it was if they were trying to not alert the people and just hope they didn't look out the window or something. But it was
Hey,
just-
the
it was
wormhole's
like,
getting bigger.
Everybody's just going on with their everybody's just going on with their day. I'm like, okay. Even when they lost power in the bar, they were just sort of like, oh, okay, I guess this
You're like,
happens.
oh, okay,
It's like
whatever. We're
Yankee
still
dinner now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish there was just a little bit of shaking or that like dung sound, like or whatever. Just
They've
like
done
to
that
show
before,
that-
right? When they
they've done it
when they use
before,
the
where it's like-
thrusters to.
Yeah, to like counteract. They even did use the thrusters, and it didn't have any like counteractive effect on,
Yeah.
on the pull. Which
Maybe
was
it's just
interesting.
very
So I thought that
slow.
was a
Maybe
little-
like it was so smooth because
I don't know. They were gonna hit the wormhole in like
Well, that's true.
8 minutes, at one point, and then it was 16, then 8, and then 3 minutes. Like at
3,
the end,
yeah.
I think they were like 3 minutes away or something.
Trek math, it's like the shields. It's just like jump, slow.
I mean, I know they're close to it because you could see the wormhole. Obviously, like it's
Yeah,
not that
they
far
moved
away.
close to
Like
it,
they moved close to it, but
Yeah.
So what would happen? The station would not survive a trip through the wormhole, right? Is that like the?
That's what they
idea
said.
that
It would
it's
come
just
out
big
It
the other
probably
end. It
doesn't
would just
have
be
the structural
Inertial
integrity
dampeners.
fields like
Yeah,
a ship.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it would shake
it would just
apart.
be like, yeah, exactly.
But
he was like, I'd like to see that. Yeah.
what's the like the volume of the wormhole? Like, what's like the bandwidth? Like, how
Oh,
many
yeah.
ships can pass through? Because like sometimes it looks like a runabout is going through. It's just like a small tunnel. Just like big enough for a runabout and not much else. And then sometimes you have like a Dominion armada like coming through
Come
there.
through, yeah.
Does it size to the one?
Yeah,
I'm wondering if it
it
just
must.
sizes to what
Oh,
comes
maybe
through.
it
Like
does
the,
do
It
that.
can scale up or down. It has to
Yeah.
be something like that.
I'm sure there's a maximum
I mean-
width at some point,
Yeah.
but
Like, could the Death Star go through there? I don't know. Maybe.
or a Borg sphere.
Or
That
spheres
just
Good
are-
question. I don't know.
The size of the wormhole
Plot
is plot
dependent.
dependent.
it's
Yeah,
true,
that makes
man.
sense. There's like a lot of things on Star Trek.
There was
Very
another
cool. Do you guys have
interesting
any?
thing.
Oh, go ahead.
There was another interesting thing on Memory Alpha. It said Ira Stephen Bear was saying that Michael Piller had given him a challenge to put a whole scene in one place, and so that's why that whole Vosh's quarter scene is so long. They just kept adding people to it and making them come and go, and Q disappears them, and because Michael Piller challenged him to make this one scene thing.
There's
Oh, that's
also the
interesting.
They have fun with a similar sequence in season 2 with Kira's quarters, and people keep
Oh,
showing up.
okay.
Oh, I
The
didn't
Right,
sequel
realize.
trilogy. I'll point it out if I'm on that stream when we get to it.
All right, we'll remember. We'll try to remember.
It'll be right
It'll
after
be
your
a while.
haircut.
That's
So,
season
yeah.
2.
Well, I've that's all I've got in my notes for this episode. Does anyone have any other things that they want to talk about this episode?
Let's see here.
Yeah, look at my notes real quick.
We get a
And
lot of
audience, is there
graviton.
anything we didn't talk about?
That's good.
What's that?
Oh,
that?
I did the one line from Q that I liked when he's like about Earth. It's like, don't get me wrong, 1,000 years ago it had character. Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, Watergate, which I was like, wait, that's not 1,000 years ago.
He does mention Watergate.
It's like
that's
now is
hilarious.
just mind-numbingly dull. Just like, yeah, I can kind of like that. I can see in his opinion. Too bad he didn't say the Salem witch trials, and it definitely would tie into
Yeah.
to Lucian.
Ooh. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Jill's asking
Yeah,
for some quotes, and so there was we already covered like the one about Quark, but I really like the one that O'Brien says when Cisco asks, "Really, Picard went out with Vosh?" And so
Oh yeah,
and O'Brien says,
She
"Well,
doesn't strike
the
me as
captain
this
likes a good
type.
challenge, sir."
yeah.
O'Brien says bloody hell when he sees Q.
Yeah, that's always fun.
And
I think
they
it's
when
Dude,
Q
it's a
sees him,
terrible
it's like,
waiter. I just want to tell you this right now. Terrible waiter. Nope.
he's like,
just
like,
argued.
don't I know you? It's like, oh, you were one of the little people.
That's
To O'Brien, which is like,
Say that too, it's true.
you're the bit actor that was in the shit. It's like,
If you ever turn human again, and
He didn't really do his he didn't unleash the full Q on them like he did. Like, you know how he does with Worf, and he calls him micro brain,
yeah.
macro head, like those kinds of
bar rodent
Thing.
for Neelix.
bar. Like when he turns Crusher into a dog.
Yeah.
That's still one of my favorites. Poor thing, she's like barking. Yeah, you did go full Q on here, but yeah, it was nice to get. I guess as a final thought, it was nice to get another kind of like little touch of TNG in there, just to bring that connection in. But I agree with folks who are saying like, if there was never a Q episode, I wouldn't have missed it. But at the same time, it is a fun little addition, and like I said, when it's on, it's great. I would say that I would give this episode probably a 7.5. It's entertaining. It's good. It's got a couple of flaws, but it's an overall good episode. Any final thoughts and ratings? You don't have to give an actual rating, Father. You can just give like an absurd one if you want to. But you go first, Joel, and then Father, and then Aaron, and then folks, tell us what you've got going on also that you want to promote to the audience.
well, I think I'll give this a 7. It's good. Yeah, it's probably my least favorite Q episode, like I said, but it's still fun. I think we spent a little too much time in the essay office setting things up at the beginning.
That's right. I forgot about that. I had a note.
Oh,
about
the inventory
essay.
Mark
thing is
7,
like-
it's a Mark 12. Like, oh,
That's
I don't know.
And also, like, why are you taking hand notation? It's just like you have pictures of these things, like one dagger. Like, there's no detail to that or whatever.
And it's
like,
like
come on.
8 kilograms. He's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm sure he's good at his job, but you could scale.
yeah.
Tricorder. Let's see here. And I don't really have much going on other than my random guest appearances on quality programming here on YouTube.
Very nice.
But I'm
all the
I'm
places.
Valis on Twitter, and I'm Valisock on Letterboxd. So, because I haven't watched that many movies recently, but August 1st is not only the start of STLV, Summon Soil, but it's also the start of the 100 Horror Movies in 92 Days challenge. So as soon as STLV is over, I'll be hitting those hard.
100 horror movies in
92 days.
92
August 1st
days.
through Halloween.
Oh,
very cool. Okay.
I think I've done it the past 4 years.
Is it
Well, I
always
think
the same program, or is it different?
No,
every year a
you
little?
have to watch. There's rules. Basically, new to you. Every movie has to be new to you. And I write a
wow.
little review for everyone, which sometimes
that's cool.
more work than watching. But
And I think if in July, if I don't remember what day, but it's like if you start watching one episode of Deep Space Nine a day, you will hit September 1st when the Bell riots happen.
Yeah,
on that day. So it's like that episode.
Well, real life is about to hit September 1st. It's like crazy. It's so crazy.
Deep Space Nine was not supposed to be a guidebook. That was like
it's supposed to be a cautionary tale. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Fathery, what about you? What are your final thoughts? Anything you didn't share? Absurd rating, and tell folks what's going on over on Text Track, which is a lot of fun.
I think I got my thoughts out for Q-less, but if people want more detailed stuff, then they can check out the Deep Space Nine podcast that Dave and I did. Over the years, we've talked about all of 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine over on Text Trek. Which is where right now we are talking all about Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 with Aaron. Woo! We just did a show Friday where we went over the things that we hope we see in Season 2 and what we hope we don't see. So yeah, that's on YouTube now. People can watch that if you missed it, or it'll be hitting the podcast platforms and probably within the next 24 hours. And then starting Monday, we'll actually be able to watch Prodigy Season 2 in non-French language. So that'll be nice. And then we'll have 20 new episodes to talk about in the coming weeks. So July will be all Prodigy Season 2. And then looking forward to hitting up Vegas in August with Joel. And we're going to have some fun in August on Text Trek number 300. We're planning a big celebration now. And Joel is going to be participating in that, it sounds like. So we're gonna have some fun stuff. I think Miss Taylor might also make an appearance. Nice. So should be fun. But yeah, but in the meantime, Prodigy Season 2, and I don't know, a rating on this. I love Deep Space Nine, I love Q, I love Vash. I don't really know how to feel about this episode, but I give it 22 Q appearances out of 3 Vash appearances.
Very cool. Very excited. How are you guys doing the Prodigy reviews? Are you going to do them on Fridays?
5 at a time.
5 at a time? Okay.
On Fridays. So Friday we'll be talking about the first 5 eps of season 2.
Okay, cool.
So, and if you can't binge the entire thing before Friday, that's okay. Dave is actually going to only watch 5 at a time to make sure that we don't talk about that we stay focused on those 5 and not talk about any future things. So
but that'll make it within the first 28 days, which is so important, I guess, for streaming numbers, right? So you can watch the whole thing at least.
So we'll get it done by the end of July, right?
Yeah. So we encourage people to stream the hell out of this. Well, like the weeks we'll be done covering it on July 26th, but people shouldn't wait till then to, as Larry Nemechek says, spinning the meter on the streaming. But yeah, like let's get the meter spinning a lot. Like starting Monday. I was like, just hit play and let the dogs and cats watch it at home while you're at work, or like whatever you got to do. But like,
right on, yeah.
Like
my cat actually is really interested in animation. She's just like, she watches it really intently.
The next 4 weeks, Netflix will decide if Prodigy is going to have a season 3 or not. That's going to happen over the next 4 weeks. So we need we need to have want to make
eyeballs, that happen. Yeah,
eyeballs on that show. Have streaming numbers going up in Netflix offices. That's the only way we're going to get Prodigy Season 3, is if a shitload of people watch it in the next few weeks.
Very cool. Yep. Also, Cake is saying in the audience that the Prodigy folks are asking everyone to stream Season 1 as much as possible this weekend. It will help show interest as well. So, yeah, that makes sense, which I've been doing, actually. I've been watching Prodigy episodes here and there as much as I can so that I can get ready for Season 2. So,
I mean, the 20
excellent.
episodes of Prodigy is only like that's like
8
less
hours
than 8 hours. So
yeah,
you could hit play at like 4:30 in the afternoon tomorrow,
and you
then,
could still
I'm
like,
gonna start
time you get to the last episode.
I don't know if I can stay up, but I'll try.
Yeah, if someone can, someone's gonna do that. Someone's gonna hit play on Prodigy around like 4:30 tomorrow,
and then
evening,
by midnight season 2 will start.
Midnight season 2 will come out, and they can just keep going.
That's so cool. I love that. Aaron, what's going on? Final thoughts absurd or actual rating, and then anything you want to share.
Final thoughts. It was better than I remembered. It was kind of fun. Got some good one-liners. I give it 1 preganglionic fiber over 1 postganglionic nerve.
You're a salutatorian, not valid.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. So it's 7 is good. I think that fits. And for what's going on, I'm going to be, like I said, like Father Ray said, I'm kind of drawn to Trek is going to partner with Text Trek. So
yeah.
So we'll put our powers together. So it'll be released on Trek Geeks as well. So we'll have the 2 different takes on it. And awesome. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I was supposed to go to Star Trek Las Vegas. I was on 2 panels. I haven't turned it down yet, but I need to. I had some emergency dental work come up that cost way more than I expected it would, and so now I can't afford to go there. So I'm working on that. And my Star Trek Sons of Trek cover came out this month. Number 3, issue B, a cover B. And I think that's it.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool.
Book is still for sale.
Go buy that book. It's awesome. Actually,
Buy one for your friend.
Get the new version with the update sticker on it, which is pretty cool. It's not a sticker, actually. It's part of it, right? Like
it looks like a sticker, but it's part of it.
I have a question, Sohel, and then I gotta run. But
all right.
I'm curious. Well, next week, July 6th, are we doing the next DS9 episode?
Yes.
That's gonna be Dex, right? Written by Dorothy Fontana. So
that's right.
Was that? I guess that was her last contribution to Star Trek. That was like her last writing.
Really? Oh. Well, it's a damn good episode, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I guess she did like some non-canonical stuff after that, but yeah, it'll be a fun one to discuss. But I gotta go.
We will definitely be doing that,
fun.
Next week at 3. And Friday the 5th, Trek on the Tube spontaneously decided he actually wants to watch Star Trek Prodigy live when it's coming out. So he's gonna watch it. We're gonna talk.
It's not like him.
I know he usually doesn't do that, but what is going on with the screen? Oh, I know what's going on with the screen. There we go. It's like, why
I was
so gigantic? So we'll be definitely covering them. We're only going to do 1 episode a week because that's all his time allows for. So we are going to do 1 episode a week, but I'm going to do just social media non-spoiler reaction videos daily for 20 days just to keep the hype going. So hopefully you guys will do that kind of stuff too, where we can just keep I'm just going to try to get that hype going for that first 20 days as much as I can. So
yeah,
we'll see a lot of stuff out there, but thank you so much for joining us. Fathery, thanks for coming on. I know you had to run in. Marcelo, if you guys are listening to this or if or somehow it reaches you.
Through time and space.
We'll see you guys next week. Live long and prosper, and we'll